Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Simon Yu from China Jiangsu Yonggang Group Company Limited. I'm very glad to be invited to attend this Steel Obvious annual conference and to share the updating of Chinese steel market with you. The Chinese market in this year, we can describe it as high production and high demand. There are 4 parts in my presentation. First part is update to the Chinese steel market. For the crude steel production, from January to October this year, China's crude steel production was 874 million tons, with a growth of 5.5%. Because of effective control and measures against the COVID-19, the downstream industry of China has recovered rapidly, and the crude steel production has reached a new high in recent years. In short term, steel production in China will remain high, but it is expected to fall back or appear regional difference in the fourth quarter. It is estimated that the annual crude steel production will increase by about 5%, and it may reach 1.04 billion tons, breaking through 1 billion tons for the first time. The steel products with significant growth this year are mainly include hot rolled sheets, heavy plates, steel bars. Most of these are used in industrial production or large-scale construction, and the growth reflects the upward trend of manufacturing industry and large-scale constructions. For the apparent crude steel consumption in China, from January to October, China's crude steel consumption reached 861 million tons, with a growth of 10%. It is estimated that the apparent crude steel consumption whole this year will exceed 1 billion tons, creating a record high. This is also the 5th consecutive year that the apparent crude steel consumption increased, which also reflects the decline of China's steel exports. For steel price, in March and April, China's steel price index was back to below 100 points because of the impact of COVID-19. However, thanks to the good results achieved in the control of COVID-19, the steel price rebounded progressively from May on and reached 113 points at the end of November. For rebar's price, it showed a similar trend like Chinese steel price index. And for iron ore, according to the latest data, in October, China imported 107 million tons of iron ore with a growth rate of 14.9% and was accumulated to 975 million tons from January to October, increased by 11%. The Platts index iron ore price sector 2 percentage Fe CFR North China increased from $93 per ton early January into $132 per ton in end of November, increased by 42%. The average price of Platts iron ore index from January to November was $104 per ton, with an increase of $10.8 per ton, up by 11.5% year on year. For metallurgical coke, from January to October, China's metallurgical coke production reached 391 million tons, down by 0.7% year on year. Price of metallurgical coke this year mainly fluctuated, affected by the elimination of backward coke production capacity. Coke supply has been tight since this September, and the price has rebounded significantly. For steel scrap, as per our calculation, the supply of steel scrap from January to October is about 213 million tons, increased by 13 million tons, up 6.5%. The continuous rising of steel scrap price reflects that the current domestic scrap sources cannot meet the consumption of steel mills, and the scrap supply and demand remain tight. This year, domestic steel scrap price has been always running at a high level over the past 4 years, except for the second quarter. Second part is China's steel import and export. Steel export. China's steel export started to decline since year 2016. This year is the 5th consecutive year of the decline. China is estimated to export 54 million tons finished steel products in this year, with an estimated decrease of 10.3 million tons, down by 16%. China's steel export also showed a generally continuous decrease trend month by month, except March and April, owing to the influence of COVID-19. The proportion of China's steel export and total production keeps decreasing after reaching a high level in year 2015 and 2016, which accounting for 6.2% in last year, and is probably expected to further decrease to 5.2% in this year. For steel import finished products, China's steel import registered 17 million tons from January to October, with an increase of 7 million tons, up by 74%. Forecast to the whole year this year, China's finished steel products import may reach 19.7 million tons, around 20 million tons, with an increase of 7.4 million tons, up by 60%. For hot-rolled coil import, it showed a quantity increase along with the price decrease. We only found the import data for HRC from January to July, with total hot-rolled coil import quantity of 2.48 million tons, increased by 2 million tons, up around 500% year on year. Import HRC price decreased significantly compared with last year. For semi-finished products import, China imported large quantity of semi-finished products from January to September, especially for steel billets compared with the same period last year. Total imports of pig iron, DRI, and billets from January to September reached 20 million tons, with an increase of 18 million tons, up by 700%. Lead import. Since June this year, China had already generated 4 consecutive months lead import of crude steel, which was the first time lead import of crude steel after the financial crisis in year 2009. From January to September, the steel import increased 24 million tons year on year, while the export decreased around 10 million tons, with total made the domestic steel supply increased by 34 million tons. So above mentioned can be summarized shortly as follows. China has taken the lead in global economy recovery because of the effective control and measures against COVID-19. Government promoted a series of economic stimulus policies, which had driven the significant growth of domestic apparent steel consumption. Strong demand made the production increase and the steel price also recovered. Steel import increased and export decreased. China became the export destination of worldwide semi-finished and finished steel products. The third part is the outlook for Chinese steel market next year. The Chinese economy rebounded significantly in Q2 this year with a GDP growth rate of 3.2%, up by 10 percentage points over Q1, and better of 4.9% in Q3, which reflects the effective recovery of Chinese economy. We are expecting even better growth rate for Q4. Concerning the RMB valuation, for RMB valuation, since June, RMB has continued appreciating against US dollars. For the near future, RMB still has a room for further appreciation. For global economy recovery, the global economy is expected to recover step by step from the impact of COVID-19 in next year. IMF predicts that the global GDP will shrink by 4.4% this year, and China will grow by 1.9% this year, which is the only major economy to achieve positive growth in this year. The GDP growth rates of the world and China are predicted to be 5.2% and 8.2% respectively in 2021, which means that the average growth rate of the global economy in this year and next year will be positive. Based on the forecast from World Steel Association, global steel demand in next year is expected to recover to 1.795 billion tons with a growth of 4.1%. Global steel demand excluding China will increase 70 million tons, up by 9.4% year on year. Chinese steel market outlook in next year. Based on above information, our outlooks on Chinese steel market in next year will be as follows. China's crude steel production and apparent crude steel consumption are both expected to further increase. Overseas steel consumption is also expected to recover significantly. Supply side reform and high quality development of Chinese steel industry will keep going. The increase of global steel production will support raw material prices like steel, scrap, iron ore, and metallurgical coke. The year average steel price is expected to rise slightly next year, but pay attention to the possible price weakening in the second half. China's steel export may probably recover slightly. The reasonable import may continue, but the gradual recovery of overseas steel demand may cause less import to China in next year. And the fourth part is updating of Yonggang Group. Yonggang Group has a steelmaking capacity of 10 million tons with the main product hot-rolled deformed bars with diameter of 10 to 50 millimeters in length and 6 to 16 millimeter in coils. Hot-rolled wire rod with diameter of 5.5 to 26 millimeters, and hot-rolled round bar with diameter 20 to 350 millimeters, with many different grades and standards as well as international certificates. These photos are some of the example applications in construction, traffic, and energy industries. In this year, we are expected to export 1.15 million ton steel products worldwide, and it also showed a continued decrease. Our products have already been exported to 111 countries and regions worldwide. As well, we also import iron ore, PCI core, ferroalloy, and steel billets, and so on. Please feel free to contact us if any business opportunities. These are the contacts of our import and export team members. So this is my presentation. Thanks, and expect to see you in the nearest future, Mr. Murat.
Thank you very much, Simon. Really appreciated your presentation. If you can stop sharing your screen, your camera will turn on and we can have you on the broadcast as well. My colleagues will arrange that. Yes, thank you very much once again. It was a very good presentation, very nice presentation. And I also would like to thank you very much for helping us with the timing too. Let's have a couple of questions very quickly. If you don't mind, I would like to ask you about, once again, about the scrap issue. Of course, China is expected to allow ferrous scrap imports next year in 2021 after new standardization will be approved, etc. And the share of EAF production capacity is increasing, although it has slowed down a bit. Can you please elaborate on the share of EAF production in China, EAF-based production in China, and how many tons of scrap do you think China will start importing per year at the beginning?
Okay, a good question. We also keep a close eye on this, Mr. Murat. And China, this year we will produce around 1 billion ton steel, and from this should be around 20% from the steel scrap. And for the time being, all scrap is supplied by domestic China. So we are expected that early next year, in the near future, I think maybe within 1 month, because new standardization already fixed and waiting for the publishment. So we're expecting that May from January on, we make an import steel scrap. So we are also expecting. We hope that the import of steel scrap can help Chinese market to have a better balance of the international market for the raw material prices. And it will help us to further increase our competitiveness for Chinese steel industry. And I think also it can help us to have a better balance with the iron ore price. But from the history data side, that we imported around 13 million tons steel scrap 10 years ago in the year 2009. After that, the scrap import to China show a decrease trend, keeps around 20 million tons, 2 million tons, 3 million tons, 5 million tons. So we think that it will take some time. This year, next year is the first time to allow import. Maybe, we are thinking the possible tonnage of import scrap should be around 110 million tons. So it will not do much help, for Chinese steel production in such a big number. But it will help us, have a better balance of the international market raw material prices, I think.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. And one last question. This one comes from Mr. Shankar Ramnarayan. What is the reason for increase in imports of semis to China?
You mean increase of semi-finished products to China?
Yes. Yes.
What's the reason? Okay. Yes. Because, as I mentioned before in the presentation, this year, the government policy, stimulates is helping, for infrastructure construction, steel consumption, and owing that we cannot import steel scrap. And we need, our consumption of the steel significantly increased. So this year we see high production, high consumption, makes, we cannot import scrap. So the international market, the Chinese price is better than international market. So semi-finished, even some finished products are imported.
Yes.
So, but for next year, we think that the import may slow down and export may slightly increase because the policy will continue sometime, but international market will also recover from this COVID-19. So international market should be rebounded better. So international market price will also go up. So the balance will be rebuilt.
Thank you very much. It was very explanatory. Simon, Sheshe, it was great to have you with us today. We have really enjoyed and benefited a lot. And once again, my sincere apologies for the delay, for keeping you waiting. I am deeply sorry. Please take good care of yourself. Stay healthy and safe. Sheshe, 再见.
Thank you. Thank you, Murat. Bye-bye.